These are problems 21 through 30 for the SAT practice test number 1 on the calculator portion for your assignment number 8 in test prep. Problem 21 is a challenging problem because we have this set of rates to deal with again. And to get it to work out, you have to look at these units that are going on. So you have millibytes per second in the numerator. That's the 5.4, and then millibytes per film. That's when you do the 10.4 times 1024. That's the millibytes per film. That reduces to film per second when you flip this and multiply. The millibytes would cancel and you'd be left with film over seconds. And then you got to multiply that by the seconds in 10 hours. So you have to do all of this math to get those units to work out, and you get 18.25 number of films downloaded in total, which is rounds back to 18. So I consider that a pretty challenging problem on this test. Problem 22, what's the vertex? So they take a challenging problem and follow it up with an easy one. So just figure out halfway between -1 and 3. And that is 1. That would be the x value on the vertex. Problem 23. So here we go again with 2 successive percents, but this is a probability problem. And so in probability, if you have an and situation, so notice I've got that highlighted and underlined in red, that is a multiplication of probabilities, however many ands, situations there are. So you might be multiplying 2 or 3 or 4. If you have an or situation, you are adding probabilities together. So here, after multiplying those probabilities, you get about 0.20, which is 20%. Problem 24. So a lot of different ways that you could approach this. So you see the numbers game that I played here. You see the answer choices, variable expressions. So I just chose 2 and 5 for A and B, and I turned everything into a number. And which of the following represents the difference between the ranges of list 1 and list 2? So in doing that, you have to figure out the greatest minus the least in each one, and then the difference in those ranges. Or you can do the algebra, which for a change, I actually think the algebra might be easier. So if you knew, and I think you can assume that the 118 is are written in ascending order, so it is. So the range 118 minus -a makes 118 plus a. The difference between that and the range here, 76 minus a. Run the negative through, you get 42a plus a. That makes, when you run the negative through, plus 2a. So the algebra might be a little easier in that case, but you can approach it with the numbers game. Problem 25, here we go with the 45, 45, 90 right triangle. What's the area of EFG, the whole triangle? So it's going to be 4 because you see 2 by 2 here. You can make a square of this too. Just flip this around. That's probably the easiest thinking is make a square. And just move this over. But it is a 45, 45, 90 right triangle. Okay. Graph it. I factored it, but graph it. So the other one would be at 4. You can look at the table also. But I think graphing is the easiest way to look at problem 26. 27, which of these gives the expression x cubed y cubed minus 64? I would look at the first and the last multiplications. And let me zoom in a little bit so that you can actually see. So we need a minus 64. And that's going to be D or C, but then you need an x cubed, y cubed, and that's only C when you look at the first set of multiplications. Instead of doing the whole thing, try to just look at pieces of things sometimes. I think that really helps instead of doing the whole problem. All right, so we have another linear function escapade here, we'll call it. Okay, so the table, so the y-intercept of f of x is 6. So we can say 3x plus 6 there. And g of x is negative 7x minus 13. What is the value of g of f of 11? So you do f of 11 first. So that is 39. Put 11 in right here. 33 plus 6, 39. And then take that into the g function. So negative 7 times 39 minus 13 is negative 286. Problem 29. If list A has standard deviation of 10, so this measures how spread out a set of numbers is. So the larger the standard deviation, the more spread out something is. List B has standard deviation of 7, which of the following must be true. So the list for the data for list A must vary more, must be more spread out than list B. Okay, here we go again. You're trying to make one row perfectly into the other by multiplying. And so it's 3. You can see that 12 has to go to 36, the 15 to 45. You multiply the top by 3. So 106 times 3 is 318. So 6z would equal 318. Solve this for z. Divide 318 by 6 and you get 53. So there are the problems 21 through 30 for the first practice SAT test for assignment number 8, actually, in test prep.